Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. My name is Matt, and this is your daily crypto news. Do me a favor before we get started today. Go to Apple Podcasts, click them 5 stars, write a nice comment, and let's get into it. We have big news today. If you guys remember, as you know you do, the SEC has denied several applications for spot Bitcoin ETFs. And spot Bitcoin ETFs allow investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin without having to hodl Bitcoin. And for a decade, they've been citing market manipulation concerns, and that's why they've been denying every application that went across its desk. Well, the judge has ordered the SEC's denial of Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF application to be reviewed. And this is according to opinion issued by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit Court on Tuesday. The D.C. Circuit Court is usually thought of as the second highest court in all the land behind the Supreme Court of the United States. The court explained that the SEC lacked coherent explanation for the denial, and the SEC failed to adequately explain why it approved listing 2 Bitcoin futures ETFs, but not Grayscale's proposed spot Bitcoin exchange-traded product. The court said, in quote, "In the absence of a coherent explanation, this, unlike regulatory treatment of products, is unlawful. This means that the circuit judge, Naomi Rao, is confused as the rest of us." Judge Rao continued to say, "The Securities and Exchange Commission recently approved the trading of 2 Bitcoin future funds on national exchanges, but denied approval of Grayscale's Bitcoin fund. Petitioning for a review of the Commission's denial order, Grayscale maintains that the proposed Bitcoin exchange-traded product is materially similar to the Bitcoin's futures exchange-traded products and should have been approved to trade on the New York Stock Exchange. We agree." The court continues, "Grayscale has demonstrated its proposed exchange-traded product is materially similar across relevant regulatory factors to the approved Bitcoin futures exchange-traded product. First, the underlying asset, Bitcoin and Bitcoin's futures, are closely correlated," they continue to say. "And second, the surveillance sharing agreement with the CME are identical and should have the same likelihood of detecting fraudulent or manipulative conduct in the market for Bitcoin and Bitcoin futures." Grayscale obviously applauded the decision, saying it's a huge development for investors. A Grayscale spokesperson said in a statement, "This is a monumental step forward for American investors, the Bitcoin ecosystem, and all of those who have been advocating for Bitcoin exposure through the added protections of the ETF wrapper. The Grayscale team and our legal advisors are actively reviewing the details outlined in the court opinion and will be pursuing next steps with the SEC. The SEC and Grayscale have 45 days to appeal Tuesday's court decision. If that happens, the case will either be sent to the U.S. Supreme Court or be subject to an en banc panel review, which are rare. And an en banc panel review is where all the judges would weigh in during a rehearing. Now, people have been weighing in all over crypto Twitter for obviously the past 24 hours. Ryan Selkis, or at 2BitIdiot on X/Twitter, said the U.S. court protected investors in the tune of nearly $6 billion from the egregious abuse of the SEC. And he means that literally, as Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust discount value recovers to 18% discount from 50% discount in 2022. Squawkbox tweeted a quote from the Grayscale CEO saying that we have to ensure that no one, especially the SEC, is not losing sight of the fact that nearly 1 million American investors own Grayscale Bitcoin Trust today. Inflicting any further harm on them would directly violate the SEC's mandate. Basically saying, hey, we're recovering from your bad policies in the past couple years. We're trying to fix this by a spot Bitcoin ETF, making sure that our people that have investments in Grayscale Bitcoin Trust can be made whole and profit. And we're going to do this by making a spot Bitcoin ETF, but you keep turning it down, and we don't know why, but the court also agrees. At Watcher Guru tweeted, "Just in, U.S. Congressman Warren Davidson of Ohio calls to fire SEC Chair Gary Gensler following the Grayscale win against the SEC. Patrick McHenry, who is a congressman from the 10th Congressional District of North Carolina, tweeted, SEC Chair Gary Gensler's crusade against the digital asset ecosystem is falling apart under scrutiny from the courts. This is yet another example of why a comprehensive regulatory framework like the Fit for the 21st Century Act must be made into law." And if you guys think that Bitcoin is surging because of this, absolutely, Bitcoin price number goes up. As of right now, it has surged around 6.7%. We're going to go into prices in a little bit. But strangely, also, Bitcoin Cash is up around 12% in 24, or around 15 to 16% in 7. Now, I'm telling you that because we're going to be looking at crypto prices in a minute, but what's good for Grayscale is going to be great for Coinbase because, as you know, the approval of a Bitcoin spot ETF is going to benefit Coinbase because they have established a so-called surveillance sharing agreement with the Chicago Board Options and NASDAQ. And this is where several firms have applied to list the spot Bitcoin ETF. And under these agreements, Coinbase would bolster the ability to detect potential fraud and manipulation in Bitcoin spot market by providing information about trading, clearing activity, and customer identification. The agreements serve the purpose of quelling the SEC's Bitcoin-related market manipulation concerns, a common complaint cited in the agency's repeated spot Bitcoin ETF denials dating back to 2013. If a spot Bitcoin ETF is approved, it is likely that Coinbase will see a significant increase in revenue from its surveillance sharing agreements. Additionally, the increased popularity of Bitcoin ETFs could lead to more users signing up for Coinbase to buy and sell Bitcoin. The approval of a Bitcoin spot ETF could be a major catalyst for Coinbase's growth. Other ways that it can grow and benefit from this is it would make it easier for investors to gain exposure to Bitcoin. It would attract more institutional investors to the Bitcoin market. It would boost overall popularity of Bitcoin. And all these factors would increase the trading volume on Coinbase and higher revenue for the company, meaning number go up, meaning stock price go up. And their current stock prices have jumped around 14% because of this. Yesterday, it started trading in an opening trading at around 73.36, and it closed at around 84.89. As of this morning, Coinbase is trading at 85.14, or up 0.5%. The SEC is continuing to declare war on crypto assets or the industry in general. The SEC has taken its first enforcement action against an NFT sale, fining a Los Angeles-based media company $6 million for selling illegally unregistered securities. The SEC is focusing on NFTs now that are sold with the expectations of profit. This is actually kind of interesting. And the SEC is considering whether creator royalties could be a factor in determining whether an NFT is a security. The NFT industry is concerned that the SEC's actions could stifle innovation, as they always do. Some NFT marketplaces have stopped enforcing creator royalties, which would make it more difficult for creators to track and collect royalties. But that's not going to stop the SEC from trying to sue them for selling unregistered securities, basically doing a whole logic, mind-bending sort of argument, saying that, well, isn't this like an ICO if you sell NFTs and the royalties come back to the companies? Anyway, it looks like the SEC is setting themselves up for another loss in front of the courts. Now let's get into those crypto prices.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
The time is 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fear greed's at 42. It's up. It's not fearful. It is neutral right now. Why? Because you can't be fearful when the SEC is losing cases in front of the court. Bitcoin is sitting at $27,203, down 0.7 in 24, up 4.2 in 7. And the reason why it's down in 24 hours, as you probably know, is that right after we reported the news, we released the podcast yesterday, that's when the news broke about the SEC and Grayscale. And so numbers shot up. It shot up bigly. And now here we are 24 hours later where we're getting a little bit of a correction, but we're still up. Remember yesterday we reported the Bitcoin price at around 25.8, 25.9, and now we're sitting at 27.2. So this is a win. Ethereum's at $1,702, down 0.8% in 24. Tether's number 3, Binance is at $222, down 2.5%, and XRP is at 52.3 cents, down 2%. Running off the top 10, we have USDC, Cardano, Doge, Solana, and Tron. The total market cap is at $1.08 trillion, down 0.7%. 24-hour volume is up 34.9% at 47.7 billion 24-hour volume. BTC dominance is at 48.9 and ETH dominance is at 18.9. And that is our show for today. Bullish, bullish, bullish. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully we're still bullish. Happy hodling, everyone.